Hello, 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 gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or wine, whatever it is that you want to get. It is time for us to get intimate with a deep conversation. Hello, hello. My name is Al, and I am the founder of the Unapologetic Women Global Rempowerment Dynasty. And if you don't know, rempowerment is not a spelling mistake. It is a word that I have created to remind women to empower themselves because, honey, all of your power is on the inside. Nobody can empower you except for you. If you are new to my world, say hi in the comments, especially if you are watching the replay. I always come back, and I also want you to start understanding that there is no replay. There is only this moment in which we are both finding ourselves. There is no future, there is no past, there is only the now. And so this conversation is happening in your now. And so let's have the conversation instead of you just getting more information. And of course, if we know each other, say hi, friend, because I'm always looking for more spaces to connect with my friends and to have rich conversations, because it's in the conversations, it's in the sharing that we allow ourselves to see things differently, that we allow ourselves to remember who we truly are. And it's one of the reasons I really don't want to surround myself with like-minded people. I am bringing back an appreciation of diversity. I only surround myself with like-hearted, diverse-minded people because I don't have to convince you of anything, darling, and you don't have to convince me of anything either. However, when I share with you my personal revelations, my insights, the experiences that I am having, you get to have an even richer life experience, not so that you can conform to my ideas, but so that you can actually just feel that we are all connected, and yet we are all evolving consciousness through our personal experiences from which we get to identify our personal preferences. So for the first time, I'm actually being called to share something that came through in my journal this morning, which I don't normally do because my journal is extraordinarily personal to me. It's the space where I give myself permission to really set aside any bullshit, quite frankly, and get real with myself. And it is also the space in which I connect the strongest, most intentionally with my inner being. And so, for the most part, what comes through on the pages is not Al's conscious mind, it's Al's consciousness that is having a conversation with me having a conversation with myself. And if you still don't think I'm crazy, then you probably are in the right place. I'm also going to say that all my journaling is done in my Unapologetic Women journals. Honestly, I think that I have just nailed the size and the texture and the elegance of my journals, because I love to have a beautiful experience in journaling. And I've always said to my clients, if you're going to journal, don't buy cheap shit. Buy yourself something that feels really good to journal in. Write with a beautiful pen. Light your candles. Have music playing in the background. Create a sensational experience for yourself, and you will find that you want to start every single day in conversation with God, in conversation with Source, in conversation with your inner being. Whatever the language is that works for you is the language that you get to use for you. And I'm going to say as well, I know that my language often is triggering for people, and I still get triggered by other people's language, but I also understand its words. And so you get to find the word that works for you. So when I speak of divinity, source, love, divine love, God, all of those things for me is the same. Consciousness. It's all source energy, consciousness energy that is evolving constantly, eternally, infinitely. And we as humans are playing an active role in the evolution of that consciousness through our personal life experiences. which, by the way, is your only purpose, darling. Your purpose is to live. And so you are fulfilling your purpose. Please take that stress off yourself of thinking, oh my God, I have this greater life purpose. And if I don't find it, then I am going to be unfulfilled at the end of my days. No, you're alive. You're fulfilling your purpose. It's all good. But at the moment, I am really delving into the concept of abundance for myself because my life has just transformed miraculously over the last 2 years since I have released my control desire, which I now understand simply comes from the masculine paradigm in which we are all conditioned. We are still living in a masculine, predominantly masculine paradigm. It is shifting. More and more of us are recognizing, remembering feminine energy, bringing it back into the conversation. But as a professional coach for 20 years, I was all about the goals. I was all about the hustle. I was all about the pain for gain. I was all about the get out of your comfort zone and stay out of your comfort zone. I was all about that, and I'm not making any of that wrong. But it had me on a trajectory of life that simply I outgrew. My inner being had outgrown it, and so I was outgrowing it as well. And I came to a point in my life where the idea of goals just did not excite me anymore. Taking massive amounts of action to show you that I am worthy of my success did not excite me anymore. Outworking everybody, overcoming great obstacles, the idea of suffering just did not excite me anymore. And so I knew that there was something else available. And we'll talk about the feminine principle of accumulation in the weeks to come. But this is really important first, because I think that we forget that we are part of source consciousness. And in that is our worth. I find it interesting that we have so many people living from a spiritual space, but still preaching suffering and hardship, when that is a choice. And honestly, I know it's the predominant conversation that's going on. And if it still serves you, if you're still enjoying it, by all means, participate in that conversation. But I have come to realize and experience the ease that is available to us in this life and the joy that is available to us in this life. And it doesn't mean that there's no contrast in my life, because we get to identify our personal preferences through contrast. But I don't get stuck on the contrast anymore. I don't need the contrast anymore to tell you that this is why I am now successful. Because all of that is still shadow consciousness. All of that is still coming from fear. All of that is still coming from thinking that I am not worthy or deserving in and of myself. So looking at the incredible transformation of my personal life in the last 2 years, and quite frankly, how easy it has been and how fun it has been and how loving it has been, I want to understand, because it's fun for me to support others in their journey. And if I have a greater understanding of my personal ascendance, then I can serve more people. Not because I have to, it's not my life purpose, but because it's fun for me and because I think you're freaking amazing. And if anything that I share assists you in sitting your sweet self down and doing the introspection and finding your truth that truly serves, empowers, and expands you, then I would be a selfish bitch not to be having this conversation with you. And I'm accused of many things, but being a selfish bitch is not one of them. So let's get into my journal, because this really hit me in my core this morning. as these words were coming out of my pen, and I think that it can serve a lot of people greatly. What I'm starting to realize is that love equals abundance, equals increase, equals success. Love equals wealth, equals source. Source equals only abundance and increase and success. So if I want to call myself spiritual, I have to recognize myself as that. Recognize myself as that. We are taught so many versions of source, the universe, consciousness, God. And we get to make that version true for us. And whatever we choose as truth will create our experience in life. I grew up very confused about God. I grew up sitting in church and hearing what I was being told about heaven and hell and the wrath of God and the love of God. And even as a little child, I was always questioning this and going, but I don't get this. I don't get how love can punish and judge so harshly. It just didn't resonate for me. Fast forward 50 years. And my understanding of God now is love, unconditional love. Unconditional love also means freedom of choice and not being judged for our choices. All our choices are good because all of our choices evolve consciousness, and all of our choices create greater and greater contrast and preference. So I have the deepest of appreciation for contrast, whether it's through my own choosing or through the observation of other people's choosing. But love is only love. Source, God, equals only the frequency of love. Only the frequency of love. Remember, we've spoken before about this, different frequencies of energy. Well, if God is the highest frequency and the highest frequency of love, therefore God is love and only love. But when we start feeling into this frequency, we start understanding that love is also abundance, only prosperity, infinite abundance, infinite prosperity, infinite success, infinite evolution, infinite expansion, infinite more. It's more. It's the feminine energy of more, more, more. And so, yes, there is the contrast, but the contrast creates more, only abundance, only richness. Don't get caught up in looking at the physical, man-made abundance in the world and then judging yourself by that. There is only an abundance of air. There's only an abundance of grass. There's only an abundance of sky. There's only an abundance of wildlife. There's only an abundance of leaves on the tree. There is only an abundance of ideas. There's only an abundance of creativity. There is an abundance of emotions. There is an abundance of experiences. It's more. It's an abundance. And so if we are creating an experience of lack for ourselves, for whatever reason, it is because we are not recognizing ourselves as source, as consciousness, evolving consciousness through human experience. there's a disconnect for us. So if I recognize myself as source, I recognize and reclaim myself as source in this gorgeous human body, then I have to recognize and reclaim myself as abundance. And that's really what has happened for me in the last 2 years. You see, previously, everything that I created, made through goals and actions and plans and strategies and all of those things. And again, I am not negating any of those things. If they are fun for you, please indulge in them. But all of that came from a space of I had to prove myself worthy of any outcomes. I was only in human expression, disconnected from source expression as me, and speaking of God and praying to God, but God was an external concept to me. Al. It was Al and it was God. It was Al and it was source. It was Al and it was the universe. But just as the drop is part of the ocean and the ocean is held within the drop, I am part of source and source is held within me. I am part of source and source is held within me. And when I start recognizing that, then I can only recognize myself as abundant, as success, as love, as richness, as possibility. And I get to think that, and I get to feel that, and I get to express myself as that. Now we can delve into, well, then what is the fear about? Why are more people choosing the lack, the expression of lack, rather than the expression of abundance? But that really is a completely separate conversation because there's so much to delve into in that. And as always, if this is something that is really speaking to your heart and you want to delve deeper into this for yourself, then I invite you to book a consultation with me. Let's get to work. And yes, the consultation in and of itself is a working conversation for transformation, for calibration. And then you get to choose, we both get to choose whether we want to continue that relationship, that partnership for an extended period of time, or if that one conversation was enough for you. But this is the truest work for us at this time, is the remembrance that we are a drop of the ocean, a drop of the ocean, and the ocean is within us. And the ocean is only infinite, abundant, rich, successful. It is the beautiful things. It is the love in life. And then we get to choose, are we going to be that and express that as humans through our human body, through our human words, through our human work, through our human movement, through our human choices? Are we going to choose to express ourselves as that? Or are we going to choose to express ourselves as hardship, suffering, confusion, having to prove ourselves, struggle, and all of those things, which is still the expression of mass consciousness at this time? And we are not making that wrong, because every person who still chooses to express that is evolving consciousness with a greater and greater desire for remembrance, for awakening, for reclamation, for expression of true divine love. So it all is serving a purpose. Let's stop making any of that wrong. because it's not. It's all right. My message is for those who want to intentionally and consciously live the life that for them is extraordinary, and to do so as an expression of the magnificence of who they truly are and what they truly are. So I'm going to end by reading this piece again, because I think this is so transformational for anybody who truly receives this. And my invitation to you is that after this, you sit and meditate on this, journal on this for yourself, and see what comes up for you. What I'm starting to realize is that love equals abundance, equals increase, equals success. Love equals wealth, equals source. Source equals only abundance and increase and success. So if I want to call myself spiritual, I have to recognize myself as that. Recognize myself as that. So rich, so yummy, so powerful. So, darling, I hope that you have found great value in this conversation. And please have a conversation with me in the comments. What is it that resonated for you? What do you not agree with? What triggers you? Like, let's have the conversation. As I said, I'm not here to reprogram anybody. I am not here to tell you what to think. I am just here opening up a conversation for all of us, from which we get to make intentional choices for ourselves. If you did find this of value, then please hit the like button. It really does help, as you know, with the algorithm on the platform, for more people to see it. Share it if you feel called to share it with somebody who can find value in this as well. And subscribe to the channel so that you can be part of the live conversation and be notified whenever I go live as well. So there's only two ways to work with me at this time of the conversation. And the one is private work, as I have said. You can book the consultation. The consultation in and of itself is a working session. It's a working session. It's not just me saying, oh, yes, I've got the thing for you. No, we get to calibrate within that session. And only after the session do we have a conversation of whether both of us want to partner on a longer term. And the other way is my soiree. This is for any fempreneur who just is tired of traditional networking, who is just done with the masks and the pretense and all of that. We dance, we cry, we laugh, we have extraordinary conversations, because the intention of the group is for women to just be women, to recognize that you are enough, to recognize your worth, to start having fun. Yes, we are all creating empires, but it's supposed to be fun, darling. Life is supposed to be fun, and there's more to your empire than just your business. So if that is something that you've been seeking, then there's a link down in the description for you as well to come as my guest and to experience the space and the ladies in there for yourself, from which, again, we both decide whether this is the divine right space for you to continue building rich, lasting relationships, find true sisterhood, women who really have your back, not just, talk about support. We give actual physical support. So if that's something that's of interest to you, then you can click the link below as well and come through as my guest and check that out. And of course, if you want your journal, then the link for that is down below as well. I adore my journals. And I took a lot of time to get the dimensions right for me personally. And if it works for you, then great as well. All right. That is all for today, darling. I want you to remember your most powerful expression of yourself does not require words. This is how we get to live our legacies unleashed, unlimited, and unapologetic. Have a sensational day further. I'll speak again to you soon. Cheers.